legend from the ancient land of the Sumerians tells us of a traveling ethnologist in the land inquiring about the disappearance of the African people who, according to the ancient records, were once the predominant population in the land. Failing to receive any information from his numerous inquiries, he finally came to one of the wise old men of the country and asked, "Sir, what became of the African people who once inhabited this land? For ancient records tell us that they were once the predominant people here. What became of the blacks?" "Oh," the old man replied with a sigh, "they lost their history, so they died. The blacks lost their history, so they died."
The faculty and students of the Department of History are committed to the discipline of history and the study of human experience in its totality. At this time, however, we feel that we must reaffirm our special responsibility to provide students with an accurate picture of Black life and history. Therefore, we are concerned about training students in the historian's craft and providing opportunities for students and faculty to interpret and analyze historical knowledge with special emphasis on the Americas and Africa. Our curriculum and methods of teaching reflect both continuity and flexibility as we prepare students for careers in research, teaching, community, business, and government service.
Professor Walter Dyson, in his book, Howard University, The Capstone of Negro Education, A History, 1867 to 1940, and Professor Rayford Logan, in his book, Howard University, The First 100 Years, 1867 to 1967, have described the various contributions made by Howard University in the nation's capital to scholarship and community service. These scholars and other outstanding historians, such as Carter G. Woodson, Charles H. Wesley, William Leo Hansberry, Harold O. Lewis, Williston H. Lofton, Merce Tate, John Hope Franklin, Elsie Lewis, and Chancellor Williams, have served as members of the faculty of the Department of History at Howard University, and they have emphasized the significance of the study of history through their teaching and through their research and publications. The graduate program of the Department of History at Howard provides opportunities for students to earn the Master of Arts and the Doctor of Philosophy degrees. In cooperation with the School of Education, the department also offers the Master of Arts in Teaching. A graduate faculty of 17 members conducts a series of seminars, advanced lecture courses, and readings that are well balanced between the traditional and the innovative approaches to teaching. In addition, advanced students have the opportunity to pursue independent study projects for credit. Professor Harold O. Lewis, the director of the graduate program of the History Department, is also a member of the Board of Trustees of Howard University.
For the graduate program in the History Department at Howard University is peculiarly fitted by a long and rich tradition of teaching and scholarship to meet the challenge of the 20th century revolution in world affairs and the consequent reshaping of historical perspectives. The names Woodson, Wesley, Logan, Hansberry, Tate, and Lofton personify the department's pioneering work on Africa and in Negro or Black history. A half-century ago, some of these scholars were studying Africa from the inside looking out and exploring Black history in all of its facets. All of this was done within the broad perspective of general history, and scholars from all over the world in recent years literally beat a path to our Moorland room to profit from the work of these intellectuals and their students. The current bearers of this intellectual tradition in the history department realize that the format for learning and for scholarship must change with the times. Hence, student participation in curriculum reform, more flexibility in course organization and selection, and stress upon the quantitative and comparative methods in the study of history. The future is built upon a rich past. The future is challenging. We shall meet the challenge.
Dr. Rayford W. Logan, Distinguished Professor of History, is an outstanding scholar, historian, and author. From 1942 to 1964, he was head of the department. In addition to the publication of 7 books and numerous articles, Professor Logan has taught new courses in the graduate program of the department during the past 2 years. The new course, entitled Advanced Research and Writing for Publication, has provided an unusual academic experience for a group of 12 students in the Doctor of Philosophy program. On the occasion of our Meet the Authors program, Professor Logan described this course.
Were it not for the fact that it would be an act of supererogation, as well as an expression of inordinate immodesty on my part, I would reiterate that since Dr. Lorraine A. Williams became chairman of the Department of History, it is one of the best departments in the university and one of the better in the United States. Few persons are as well qualified to make this statement as am I, the head of the department from 1942 to 1964. This meeting today, one of many innovative programs, validates the statement. Heartiest congratulations to you, Mr. Clifton F. Brown and Mrs. Ethel L. Williams, for the well-deserved recognition of your book. May it continue to receive the favorable critical appraisal which has created the demand for a new printing. This should give you great satisfaction. Another innovative program in the Department of History is the current seminar, Advanced Research for Writing and Publication. So far as my incomplete investigation has revealed, there is one other similar course, that at the University of Chicago. After several discussions with Dr. Williams and students in the seminar, we decided that the proposed book will have the title Selected Topics on the Negro, 1945-1973. The authors will be Rayford W. Logan and Associates, the latter being the students in the seminar. We hope that the members of the department will permit us to seek their advice to the end that our book will be worthy of the high esteem of the department and perhaps justify an invitation to a subsequent Meet the Authors.
Professor Esther Morrison teaches courses in East Asian history. She has prepared a 200-page history of the graduate program of the department. And Professor Merce Tate, who teaches graduate courses in European history, confer with the chairman of the department. The department has recently distributed a publication by Dr. Tate. Professor Tate is the author of 6 books and numerous articles.
A collection of 27 articles on diplomacy in the Pacific and the influence of the Sandwich Island missionaries was published by the History Department of Howard University in January 1973. The essays fall into 5 groups. Several of the articles developed out of research pursued on book-length manuscripts made possible through grants from the Rockefeller Foundation, the American Council of Learned Societies, the Washington Evening Star, and the Howard University-sponsored research program. Finally, I am deeply grateful to the History Department under the chairmanship of Dr. Lorraine A. Williams for making the collection available in one volume to certain libraries and individuals around the world.
Dr. Chancellor Williams is a senior professor of African history. He's the author of 5 books and many articles. Our student organization of history majors, the Chancellor Williams Historical Society, is named for him. He has received several awards and citations for his recent book, The Destruction of Black Civilization.
History is a race's lifeline through a bloodstream tracing back to their ancestors through the ages. It is therefore something much more than just another subject in the school's curriculum, for it encompasses all other subject fields. It is a record of the achievements of the whole human race in the various fields of human endeavor.
Seminars are an important part of the graduate program. Professor Williston Lofton conducts a seminar in United States history for graduate students in the conference room of the Department of History. In addition to the study of United States history and African history, the department offers courses in the history of Latin America and the Caribbean. Professor Maria Brau teaches a new course in our curriculum, The History of Puerto Rico. This is the first course offered in Puerto Rican history in this area. Professor Brau is the author of a book on Puerto Rican history. She has served as chairman of the Undergraduate Curriculum Committee and is a member of our Graduate Curriculum Committee during this academic year. Professor Vincent Peloso, who has recently engaged in research in Peru, leads a discussion in Latin American history in the seminar room of the Department of History. Graduate students James Early, president of the Graduate Student Council of Howard University, Bernice Regan, Ford Foundation Graduate Fellow, and Michael Thompson, graduate student, contribute to the discussion. Michael Thompson's essay is the first in a series of student publications of the Department of History. Dr. Elvina Tillman and a student discuss a project in urban history. Urban history represents another aspect of our curriculum, and Professors Elvina Tillman and Harold Pinkett teach courses in this area. Dr. Arnold Taylor, professor of United States history, lectures to his class in United States diplomatic history. Professor Taylor is in the process of completing major work in diplomatic history. He is the author of a book and several articles in this field. He also conducts a seminar in diplomatic relations between the United States and selected African nations. George Reed, president of the Graduate Student Council of the Department of History, is graduate assistant to Professor Taylor. Reed confers with Professor Taylor, Mr. Thomas Holt, a lecturer, and Miss Diane Kimbrough, clerk typist in the department. Mrs. Patricia Harris, secretary for the graduate program of the Department of History, provides materials from the library in the graduate program office for Professor Clarence Conti and Mr. Julius Nimmons, a graduate assistant. The faculty members and students combine their efforts by serving on several committees in the department. The chairmanship of the Graduate Curriculum Committee rotates between faculty and students. The most recent chairman of the committee is Miss Brenda Case, a graduate assistant. The director of the undergraduate program of the department is Mr. Clifton Brown. Mr. Brown advises the undergraduate students, coordinates all of the activities of the program, and engages in research in the area of African history. He is the co-author of a book entitled Afro-American Religious Studies, and he has written several articles for publication in scholarly journals.
It is the aim of the undergraduate program to provide the student with the tools of historical research, to provide him with a substantive background in his area of concentration, and to spark in him the interest, discipline, and self-reliance necessary to meet the rigorous standards of the discipline. The undergraduate program is comprehensive in its scope. The program provides the student with not only an innovative curriculum, advising service, and a faculty dedicated to excellence, but also such extracurricular activities as the Chancellor Williams Historical Society, the Zeta Gamma chapter of the Phi Alpha Theta National Historical Honor Society, and the Rayford W. Logan Lecture Series.
The following scenes are related to our undergraduate program. Mr. Emmanuel Sanders holds a class in the William Leo Hansberry Lecture Hall in the Department of History. Miss Olive Taylor uses maps in her lecture on Afro-American history since 1865. Dr. J. Carlton Hayden leads a group discussion in a pro-seminar on the influence of religion on Afro-American history. Dr. Hayden and Mr. Holt coordinate the student recruitment program for the department. Mr. Charles Johnson, instructor in history, lectures to an undergraduate class in United States history. Miss Maricela Medina, secretary of the Chancellor Williams Historical Society of History Majors, discusses her recent visit to the University of Edinburgh as a Lucy Moten Fellow of the College of Liberal Arts. She plans to study history at the graduate level upon completing requirements for the Bachelor of Arts degree. Dr. Al Tony Gilmore lectures to an undergraduate class in United States history. He has published several articles recently. Mr. William Suttles lectures to a class in Introduction to Black History. Many students in other schools and colleges at Howard University take this course. In addition to the graduate and undergraduate programs of the Department of History, the research program was created in June 1972. The director of the research program is Mr. Michael R. Winston, Assistant Professor of History. Mr. Winston is co-author of a book with Professor Rayford W. Logan entitled The Negro in the United States, Ordeal of Democracy, 1945 to 1970, and several articles that have been published in professional journals. He also offers a new course entitled The Interdisciplinary Approach to the Study of History.
Since the Department of History began the systematic supervision of graduate work, it has had a commitment to the achievement of excellence in advanced research as well as teaching. For many years, members of the department have made outstanding contributions to the advancement of historical knowledge by individual research efforts which produced articles in scholarly journals, monographs, and books on a wide variety of historical problems. Recognizing the need to create a means for mobilizing its research capabilities beyond the impressive record of the past, the Department of History created the Research Division in June 1972 as a part of its new development program. The new program will enable the department to undertake large-scale, collaborative research projects which require the cooperation of scholars and advanced graduate students from a variety of historical fields and from other disciplines in the social sciences and humanities. The department's Committee on Research began planning the departmental program in the fall semester of 1972. funds will be sought from a broad spectrum of sources to support a comprehensive program of historical research.
We have recently added a course in oral history. This course is taught by Dr. Okan Uya, Professor of African History and United States History. Professor Uya is the author of 3 books and several articles. We see Professor Uya with a group of students as they use sources in the Moorland-Spingarn collection. The program of the Department of History at Howard University also includes several additional features. For example, the second series of historical publications of the department was established in April 1971. Dr. Lorraine A. Williams is editor of the publication series. We publish departmental newsletters, bulletins, and brochures. Some of these brochures represent a collaborative effort between our department, the public school system of the District of Columbia, the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, and the Museum of African Art. Scholarship and student involvement in the Department of History are encouraged. Mr. Reginald Hildebrand is the president of Zeta Gamma chapter of Phi Alpha Theta History Honor Society. Ms. Jeanette Harris, the vice president of the organization, is engaged in research that will result in the publication of a directory of black historians. Ms. Harris, a graduate assistant, has published several articles. Dr. Allison Blakely, specialist in Russian history and the Russian language, is the department's liaison with Founders Library. The community service program of the History Department of Howard University has included the distribution of a curriculum in black history for secondary schools to each secondary school in the District of Columbia. The Department of History also presents a series of lectures, seminars, and special programs. Some of these events represent collaboration with other departments at Howard University and other organizations in the academic and general community. During the second semester of each academic year, the department presents the Rayford W. Logan Lecture. Students who have written outstanding essays in the area of Negro history receive cash awards. It has been mentioned that Professor William Leo Hansberry, a former member of our faculty, was a pioneer in the study of African history. On November 20th, 1972, the History Department dedicated the William Leo Hansberry Lecture Hall, reissued as a publication a lecture by Professor Hansberry entitled Africana at Nsukka, and presented a panel on Africa and the Afro-American experience to the public.
The pursuit of excellence in all of our endeavors is a necessity because excellence is the basis of our search for the truth about our heritage. It is essential if we are to bring forth and guard the sacredness of this truth, evaluate effectively the strengths and weaknesses of our historical experience, and provide a foundation for future progress.